Do you guys like making money? Because I certainly do. I've compiled 3 of the best money making methods that I know for early game, so do follow along if you want to earn some money, and I will be ranking them at the end of the video. If you want to see more videos like this, then go ahead, like and subscribe. If we get 300 likes, then I'll consider doing a mid-game money making method video. Anyways, starting off, we've got harvesting glowing mushrooms. So first thing you want to do is you want to make your way over to the barn and then over to the desert settlement. You're going to run to the mushroom area and come down here. If you just follow along, you will find the mushrooms. Now, these are very easy to harvest, unless you're an idiot. All you're going to need is Moby's shears. That is it. Get yourself some Moby's shears, fast set of armor, young dragon will do, and then get yourself some booger sugar just to keep you in the zone, get you focused. Or a monster, Red Bull, piss. Now what I like to do is I actually like to buy empty chum buckets. You fill them up with chum, you earn a bit of money for this as well as fishing XP. With 64 chum buckets and 80 glowing mushrooms, you can get yourself a glowing mush mix. What? Okay, so that one took me about 12 minutes to get. However, I'm going to go ahead and do another one. 512 glowing mushrooms for the empty chum buckets, 80 for the mushy mush, and then you're good to go. Now, a few things I want to say is you can just sell the glowing mushrooms and you will still get a lot of money. 512 sells for around 800,000 depending on the day, and each empty chum bucket does cost 2,000 coins. So just keep that in mind. You will need a bit of money to start this one, but it's not a lot. Okay, so that actually took me 9 minutes to complete, which is a new record for me. 9 minutes is very fast, and I'm just going to put them on the auction house for 1.65 mil each. That there would equal around 3.3 million. 3.3 mil in about 20 minutes. You'd be getting around 9.9, 10 mil an hour with this money making method. Keep in mind, I don't have fast armor, and I didn't have the focus either. Another thing I want to say is glow mush mixing can fluctuate in price. However, you will be getting a nice amount of money between 7 to 10 mil an hour with this method. The next method that I want to cover is going to be treasure hoarders. Now, if you know me, I used to love treasure hoarders. I would do this for hours on end, which sounds really sad now I think about it. So to start off, let me go over the setup that I'm using. To do this, I'm going to use 3/4 wise dragon armor with a dark goggles, with a pair of dark goggles. Additionally, you're going to need a frozen scythe. Back in the day, all you needed was an aurora staff, but due to changes, you can't do that now. Okay, so the location is still the same. You're just going to run around. There are plenty of spots that spawn treasure hoarders, and I actually think they've added one inside of the cave, so there's 4 in there instead of the usual 3. Now, the good thing that I do like about the frozen scythe is the distance, and you can just spam it in comparison to an aurora staff, but at the same time, the damage that you deal is dependent on your mana. So if you're early game and you don't have a lot of mana, you're kind of fucked. Additionally, you will run out of mana very, very fast, so you will need ultimate wise, which I don't have on this frozen scythe. I just would not recommend this as your very first money making method. However, if you've got the money to get the setup, you've unlocked all the requirements for ultimate wise, then this is definitely a good contender. So I did this very inconsistently for about 10 to 15 minutes. I made myself 750,000 in Starfall, 50k in Treasurite. That made around 800k in about 10 to 15 minutes. In comparison to glowing mushrooms, it's a no-brainer. Therefore, this method makes around 5 mil an hour, which is quite inconsistent. And because I've got such low mana, I just wouldn't recommend it. Okay, so something which is actually really good is if you do go to the portal hub and then you head over to the dwarven mines. Well, I guess you didn't have to go to the portal hub. If you make your way down to the forge, there is actually something you can do to increase your profits from Starfall. Okay, so something you can do is if you head over to other and then power crystal, you'll be getting around 718,000 coins per power crystal. It takes around an hour and 40 minutes. That's pretty good profit. Now, if we just look at Starfall itself, one Starfall sells for around 2,000 coins. So you're looking at 2,000 times 64 times 4. You are looking around 480,000 off the top of my head. You're getting a nice profit. You will have to wait. In fact, I'd recommend if you have 4 stacks of Starfall or the money to get it, just stick it into the forge on a power crystal and you will make passive money. A passive 300,000 every hour and a half doesn't sound too bad. And the more forge slots you have, the more money you're going to make. So you might as well do it. Now, whilst I'm at the forge, another passive money making method that I do like to use is if you go over to slot 1, you go to refining and you go refine mithril. This does make a profit. I'm pretty sure this is about 200,000 profit. It is pretty good and definitely worth it. So I would 100% consider it as a passive method if you're not using the forge. As you can see, 160 mithril is around 202,000, so yes, you will be making double. Okay, so another method that I do really like is Arachne. Now, you can actually mix a few of these different things that I'm about to say and make even more profit. So if you head into the spider's den, you head all the way to the bottom, you'll find the altar, in which case, if you place an Arachne crystal, an Arachne will spawn. Now, Arachne crystals work better than Arachne fragments, as the money you make will be significantly higher. Now, with the Arachne poisonous spiders, each poison spider will give you around 2,000 coins, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it does add up. Additionally, if you come in the top 5, you will get 32 soul string. This is a very, very nice amount of money, around 160,000. Now, I know it sounds difficult coming top 5, however, it's actually relatively easy given how many people are doing Arachne and how little people actually get involved. Sometimes you might find a lobby with 5 or 10 people doing it, and other times you might find a lobby, as you can see, with only 2. On top of this, you have a chance of getting different pets, and you have a chance of getting loads of different loot, which is very nice. Now, something that I like to do whilst doing Arachne is start Slayers, because Slayers also make quite a bit of money, especially Tarantula Slayer, and with the new update, you can get through Slayers like it's nobody's business. Now, one thing I do want to say is if you are going to do this money making method, you'll need a good armor set and a good sword and a cow hat. The cow hat will protect you from the poison, because poison is a bitch. I have full Shadow Assassin armor and I still die, so a cow hat really comes in clutch. The other thing I'll say is a good damage sword such as a giant cleaver and a good armor set. You can get away with strong dragon perfectly fine. You can even get away with unstable dragon armor. I definitely recommend it. Okay, so for this money method, in less than 4 minutes, I made 640,000. On top of that, whatever else I made through quick sell, that's a lot of money. I did 3, managed to make 640,000 in soul string, with each stack selling for around 320,000. So all in all, if you did this for an hour, you would get around 9.6 million. However, this is subject to change, especially if you're relying on other people to place down the crystals and finding the lobbies. Okay, so this is what I'd do. If you're able to, I would buy 4 stacks of Starfall for every forge slot you have. If you're not going to be forging any important items, use the forge. It's a very good money making method. Starfall, every hour and a half you're making 300,000 per forge slot. That's a lot of money. Additionally, I think the number 1 money making method on the list is glowing mushrooms. As easy as it is, you wouldn't expect that it'd be that good. But 9.9 mil with barely any setup, that's a no-brainer. Come on. I personally would not kill treasure hoarders. I think that money method is out of date. You can do it, and you could probably get better results than me. However, I do think that there are better money making methods, such as Arachne. I think glowing mushrooms, Arachne, treasure hoarders. That is how I would put it. I do know that a lot of people say the Rift and they live by it. However, for those of you who are just starting out in Hypixel Skyblock where there is too much to learn as is, I think that these are the best money making methods which are easy to get a grasp of rather than have to learn an entire new dimension immediately. Anyway, that's today's video. If you've enjoyed, hit the like button down below. 300 likes, like I said. At 3,000 subs, I'm going to do absolutely nothing. Comment down below if you want to see more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one.